Hey everyone, here's something new for Lawyer Flash. It's the Explainer, where we explain legal issues straight up. Today we're talking about Ray Rice, who punched his girlfriend in an elevator, knocking her unconscious and dragged her into his hotel room, leading to an internet firestorm of misinformation and misconceptions about the law relating to Ray Rice. Today we're going to answer the top 5 legal questions about Ray Rice. Question number 1. Where were the police in this and why isn't he arrested? Well, in fact, the police were called in for domestic disturbance and they arrested both Ray and his fiancée. Ray's police report shows that he punched his girlfriend, rendering her unconscious. His girlfriend's police report shows that she also hit him. Now remember, he's a trained athlete, and him punching her is a very, very different matter than her hitting him. She was not charged. He was charged with third-degree assault. Question number 2. Why did he get such a light sentence? Ray Rice was allowed to go to pre-trial intervention, which means he avoids trial by agreeing not to get into any further trouble with the law, agreeing to go to counseling, and agreeing that if he does get into further trouble with the law, he'll go right to jail without a trial. Nevertheless, many people feel that for such a severe offense, this is a very light sentence. New Jersey prosecutors defended this sentence, saying it's the typical sentence for a first-time offender, especially where the victim does not wish to cooperate with prosecution. This has opened up a broader discussion about how domestic violence should be treated in our society and what penalties the law should impose. Question number 3. Did Ray Rice marry his fiancée to silence her? The day after he was charged, he married his fiancée, causing some to speculate that he was trying to take advantage of the legal doctrine of spousal privilege. Under the doctrine of spousal privilege, a spouse may not be compelled to testify against the other spouse. In other words, a wife may not be compelled to go to court to testify against her husband. However, there's one enormous exception to the doctrine of spousal privilege, and that's in the case of domestic abuse. New Jersey recognizes that exception, and in this case, she could be compelled to testify whether they are married or not. In other words, there's no truth to speculation that he married her to keep her silent. Question number 4. Did the NFL have the right to suspend Ray Rice for off-the-field conduct? To answer this question, we have to look at the enormous collective bargaining agreement between the players and the NFL. This agreement is more than 300 pages long. And if we go to page 261, we find this provision. This is the integrity of the game provision. This provision requires the players to conduct themselves in a way that maintains the integrity and good character of the NFL and its players. This is primarily used for problems like gambling, cheating, bribery, but it's broad enough to cover any conduct that might cause the public to question the good character of an NFL player. It's certainly broad enough to cover a player who's convicted of domestic abuse. In other words, the NFL absolutely had authority to discipline Ray Rice for his domestic abuse. Question number 5. Did the NFL properly discipline Ray Rice, or does he have grounds to challenge it and possibly even sue them? Remember, the NFL originally gave him a 2-game suspension and then they increased it to an indefinite suspension after the video came out, and the Baltimore Ravens cut him from the team. To find out whether they're allowed to do this, we have to go deeper into the collective bargaining agreement. And here on page 204 is another important provision. This is the one penalty provision, and it provides that the commissioner and a club will not both discipline a player for the same act or conduct. There have been 2 separate arguments raised out of this one clause. The first argument is that the NFL could not increase his penalty from a 2-game suspension to an indefinite suspension. The argument is based on the concept of double jeopardy. Double jeopardy is the legal idea that the government may not punish you twice for the same bad conduct. However, that doctrine has nothing to do with the contractual relations between an NFL player and the NFL. The clause in question does not explicitly prevent the commissioner from increasing the penalty. The second argument is that the Baltimore Ravens had no authority to cut Ray Rice once the commissioner had already levied its indefinite suspension. Remember, the one penalty clause says that a club may not give an additional penalty for the same conduct once the commissioner has already levied its penalty. Ordinarily, a team can cut a player in its absolute discretion, but in this context, Ray Rice might claim that this is an additional penalty. And given that there are still $9 million left on his contract, this is an important issue, and we think it might end up in the courts or in arbitration. And those are the top 5 legal questions relating to Ray Rice. I hope we've answered them all. I'm your host, Jon Deer. This is Lawyer Flash, and you can find us here each week at lawyerflash.net or youtube.com/lawyerflash. Also be sure to check out and like our Facebook page and mostly subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jon Deer. We'll see you next week right here on Lawyer Flash. Be sure and check out these other exciting Lawyer Flash episodes.